If you're active on comic book Twitter at all, then you know that Superman fans are constantly arguing about two things: whether or not he should abandon his no-kill rule, and the more serious debate, should modern Superman still be wearing his bright red undies on top of his tights, or not? And yes, I know they're trunks, so calm down. A few weeks back, I did a poll asking you all this very question, and clearly trying to copy me, and for no other reason than that, James Gunn recently asked Twitter the same thing. The results don't really matter, but what we can take away from this is that some of you are really attached to that man's drawers, and others just want to see him flying around the world freeballing. Which team are you on? Hey, I'm James, this is Mixed Up Media, and we're going to be talking about the reason or reasons why superheroes started wearing trunks over their tights in the first place.
Cool costume.
Thanks. My mom made it for me.
Let's start off with the most popular explanation first. Superman's design was inspired by what the Strongmen in old circus sideshows from the early 1900s wore while they were performing. Julius Schwartz, a former editor on the character, explained this in more detail in his 2000 autobiography, Man of Two Worlds. He says that the Man of Steel's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, modeled his costume after aerial circus performers and wrestlers. This is something that was pretty obvious in the 1930s when Superman was created, because performers wearing that style of dress, and the circus in general, were a lot more prominent in pop culture back then. Nowadays, this isn't something that most people would just notice without context. We'll get to why they made the choice to model him after those performers in a moment, but before that, let's talk about why they dressed like this in the first place. The costume usually consisted of a leotard or a pair of tights, with a pair of trunks on top, a belt, and boots for the non-acrobats. The leotard was invented and popularized by a French trapezist named Jules Léotard. The idea was for this piece of clothing to promote safety and athletic performance. The added bonus for performers was that it showed off the contours of their muscular physiques as well. The downside for performers is that it showed off the contours of everything else too, so they wore trunks on top. Have you ever seen a guy wearing a Spider-Man costume without shorts?
Yeah. Man, I feel like you're packing right here.
Hey, yo! Hey!
Yeah, nobody wants that, but people were a whole lot more modest back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Trunks were like the final line of defense, so even if you were a strongman whose pants ripped while you were squatting somebody's wife, the show could go on and nobody in the crowd would know that you were out here slanging in the wind. Circus performers were the closest thing that the world had to superhumans at the time. Acrobats would soar through the air effortlessly, and strongmen could bend iron with their bare hands. They broke through the limits of what humanity was thought to be capable of, so their costumes became symbolic of that. It only made sense that superheroes would be modeled after those people since they performed athletic feats as well. Kind of like how Jay Garrick's Flash costume is inspired by the Greek messenger god Hermes, who was known for his extraordinary speed. Superman's feats in the early days were really showy and all about spectacle. He would lift cars with one hand, jump over skyscrapers, and run faster than a train. While he wasn't the first superhero to wear trunks over their tights, we can assume that the creators of Flash Gordon and the Phantom, who debuted in 1934 and 1936 respectively, were inspired by the same things. Superman debuted in 1938, and he became so popular that he kicked off the golden age of comic books. After him, this just became a standard part of a superhero's costume. Batman and Robin, Namor, The Thing, Martian Manhunter, Wolverine. Trunks were about as synonymous with being a superhero as capes. Superman may not have started the trend, but he definitely made it popular, and this ended up making comic book artists' jobs a lot easier, because there was also an artistic and technical benefit to putting trunks on your character. In their early days, graphic novels were seen as cheap entertainment for children, and as a result, they weren't taken seriously as an artistic medium. In the early 30s and 40s, comic books were printed on the lowest grade of paper in two forms, black and white and 4-color. Every color that was available to artists was either cyan, magenta, black, yellow, or a mix of them. This is why superhero designs were so simple. Trunks were a great way to help characters stand out, and making them a different color from the rest of the costume also helped to break up the monotony of a simple design like Superman's. They also made it easier to distinguish limbs on characters, especially during action sequences or the instances where old printing technology would cause color to bleed outside the lines on a page. Even characters that didn't wear trunks at all would have lines outlining their pelvic areas for the exact same reason. So are Superman's trunks outdated and goofy looking? Yeah, but so what? They look cool, and he's had good costumes with and without them. It doesn't matter if it's been live action, animated, or even just in the comics. They're iconic and they've been there longer than Superman's been flying. But personally, I prefer the red belt. I don't think it really matters too much either way, but it's a hot topic again because we have a new Superman on the way. And I have a pretty strong feeling that James Gunn's Superman is going to at least start out wearing trunks. They even brought back his old motto, so I feel like it's a pretty safe bet. Thanks for watching. Peace.